most important factor, not only in professional life, but in personal life, being able to build relationships, because those relationships will be a springboard to success as you move forward. And I also think it's important to be able to speak up, and you don't have to be obnoxious, but if you are being overloaded with work, or if you feel you're not in the right place, you've got to be able to articulate that and know how to do it so it's comfortable from your perspective, but it's also heard.
Well, and I think that it's also, like you said, it's team building. And a lot of the companies that I consult for, the first thing I go in, you see these people overworked and overstressed, but everybody's isolated. Everyone's isolating their workload. People need to learn how to work together as teams now more than ever in that environment and say, how can we all help? How can we use our assets and our strengths together to make our workload easier and more productive? Because what I have found in just observing is that you'll see everyone having their isolated workloads and they're double timing and triple timing the same exact work that doesn't need to be done that way. So if we could do things more collectively in team building efforts, then I think the workload becomes less and it actually becomes more fulfilling because you're having those interpersonal relationships that become more rewarding.
But I think it's keeping a positive energy. I think that's how you showcase it. And I think to Leslie's point about leadership, I think that stands and it shines, beyond. And keeping positive during tough times is really what a corporation wants. They want to be an embracer of change, a leader of change. So having that kind of inside spirit around creating the team and followership within an organization, I think makes you stand out.
All right, great advice.
It makes me think of Marcus Buckingham, who is one of the keynote speakers for our conference. One of the things he says is you've got to find your strengths and then develop them. Play to your strengths. You can't be all things to all people, but you do have certain strengths. So you've got to nurture those, and it's an interesting concept.
One thing I said at the top of the show that I definitely want to get to before we run out of time, which we are rapidly doing, and we always do, it seems like, is if you are looking to make the second half of your life or your career more rewarding, or perhaps using it as a springboard to do something that you always wanted to do. And Leslie, you mentioned about the job that you have now came as a result of something that happened to you earlier in your lifetime. What advice would you have for women who are looking to make the second half of our lives even more rewarding than when we were younger?
Well, I think we have, wisdom is an asset. I wouldn't go backwards. I like my life now. And I think you've got to learn. From each experience in your life, you've got to learn and use it as a springboard. For me, I learned that I loved reaching out to other women. And in turn, the rewards of seeing the good you can do are tremendous. And that just fuels more reaching out. And you've got to be a creative thinker. You can't sit back and do the easiest thing. You've got to think, what do I really like to do in this second half of my life? One of the women that came to me after the conference had always wanted to write a children's book, and she said she started writing children's books. Another woman started her own business because she all of a sudden had the inspiration to do it.
That's some of the stories that we've been sharing with you. You'll see on the side of the Facebook page that I put up on this very subject. People were saying, oh, you know what, I was always so good at making desserts, so I decided to make it a business, and now Kathy's Just Desserts is very successful. So I guess you just have to find it and be willing to take the risk. There's going to be failure there, right?
There is.
I mean, you have to know that that's going to happen and not be discouraged by it.
Failure is only your opportunity to learn and grow. I mean, failure is not, people think that they stop doing things for the fear of failure, and my life mantra is have more fear of regret than you have of failure. Failure is not a definition of who you are. Failure is only if you let it keep you down. Failure is just your obstacles that you work your way through to become smarter and wiser and have more wisdom. But it's all inner strength that you gain through that journey.
Well, you know what? Having that wisdom and being for us in the second half of our careers, we also have a responsibility to the next generation. And one of the things I love about the conference is that it's giving young women, even high school girls, the opportunity to learn from those of us who have been around.
Yeah, I think it was Linda Ellerby that said, we're out there grading the roads. They're going to pave them. They're going to be our future. So part of our obligation is to teach and to inspire. And again, this conference has a young women's track, and we bring in juniors and seniors, and we scholarship them into the conference. And we have, you know, a couple of hundred of young women that are in sessions that really play, again, to them, to self-esteem, to looking at the future, so that this conference has legs.
And I think
certainly does.
There's such an accountability too in the corporate world too, to really reach out, because we could get distracted, and we really need to focus on our next generation of leaders, women leaders.
We will all be there, and I'm grateful for you coming in today to talk about it. But if people are interested, Leslie, how do they reach out and attend?
Well, what they do is they go on the website. The website is www.pagovernorsconferenceforwomen.org. It is a very long website, but again, we were branding ourselves, so we found that necessary. And it will let you register. It will let you buy tables. Whatever you want to do, it's on that website.
Okay, ladies, thank you so much for being there. There is no excuse for you not to be there on September 17th. We expect to see you out there and get the power to succeed for yourself. Until the next time, good night.